in a game or has been in the game since beginning, right? It's just now that we are beginning to experience it on the commercial or the consumer level. But video games has always been an AI tool set, right? If you look at AI from the perspective of problem solving, gaming is a problem solving ability. And I say this anywhere I go. You know, when you are playing a video game, you go from level 1 to level 20, right? You can't jump over. You have to go 1, 2, and 3. Each level gives you an experience, right? But guess what? Now in the game, you have AI that is really mastering you. Okay, so it can only become better, right? We must also remember that before AI is human intelligence. We can only get better with our playing of the game. We can solve more problems. That's what gamers are made for. We are problem solvers. That's the bottom line for every gamer here, right? So if you take that same game sense and you take that practices of having the AI be able to train you as a human being, the more difficult game levels you solve, the more better you become as a gamer. That's the simple thing. The best of gamers in the world are the best of guys who can solve problems. Because you have to act quick, you have to make decision making and strategic making in a quick sense. So you get it. So basically AI in a game, yes, because the AI has been trained such that he has mastered you, but you also have to master your mind. And basically that's what AI does for us.
Sure, you can add on.
I wanted to go back to what Max said about you would have an agent, so it's an AI agent playing against each other whilst, you know, possibly physical players sleeping. I think that if we think about the fact that there's always a commercialized, I mean, games were created, yes, for fun, that's the end user experience, but the back end, they were created for commercial reasons, right? For an organization to be able to make money, right? So if we move, or we're thinking about models where agents now are able to participate and play games alone, how are we going to enable people to make money?
So I'm going to tell you guys something, and it will shock you to know what Max Mox said is already in existence. All right, so we partner, there's a company called WePlay. They are based in China. So they have a gaming platform. It's kind of a meter. So what you go in there, you train your model or you train your character. And in this case, your model is a car racing. They are cars. Basically, you have to train the car in a track. And then after the competition is not played by you, your character or your car has to compete against your car, which is an AI. And they played in a virtual tournament. You get it? So once your car wins, you move up to the ladder. So it's not that what Maximus said is not being done. It is being done now. And you can check it out. It's called WePlay from China. I get to talk to the owners, right? We're trying to bring them here. But it is there. There is an AI play where AIs are playing against each other. But you have to train that character to have your ability, to have your thinking, to have your tactics. Yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating to know because having to, I mean, when you play FC, for example, when I play FC, I'm always playing Arsenal. Any Arsenal fans here? Any Arsenal fans here? Oh, no Arsenal fan? Oh, Arsenal here, okay. The champions don't go where other people are. You know, we are champions. Anyway, so when I play FC, what we call FIFA, I play Arsenal. And say I put Saka on my right wing, and I've been playing with this AI on it. They know that, okay, Saka is a very good right wing player. I play the first few minutes, and I'm getting through easy. Before you realize, halftime, they are now putting two players on on Saka. I'm like, how did they know that this is the technique? It is the AI is learning the process and it's trying to make it difficult for you. So you have to now find the solutions to get out of it. So I feel like AI is, making our work easy for us. It's exploring our intellectual capability, our problem-solving skills, and all that. Moving away from that, do you think we have the potential to build these systems here? Do we have the talent? Do we have the right people to make these platforms available to maybe someone who is in the local person somewhere in the Volta region to use AI to build a game and put it out there? Boss Matmos.
Hello. Before I speak, I would like to acknowledge one of the most influential people in the tech space that I know, Madam Estelle. Yes, she has influenced some of us, so I want to do that before I continue. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think we all have the same intelligence that any other person on any part of the planet has. So if we want to develop whatever product, we have the people here. We just need to find them, train them if they need to be trained, and then, put together a team. Usually, we don't like working in a team. We want to work in isolation and want to sell the product in a team. It doesn't work like that. Let's come together and work as a team. That's the only way we can be better or produce something that will be better, right? So for me, I think Ghana, we have the intellect and the sense or whatever capacity that we need to develop an AI agent or an AI platform, yes.
So we have the talent, we have the capacity to build. Do we have what do we need actually? Is it the infrastructure? What do we need to actually make things happen? Because we always hear there's potential, there's talent, and all that. But then what do we need to make it happen? Especially in our space where we have a lot of gamers, we don't have the platforms for them to communicate. Thanks to Palladium, now we have our own. But what do we need? What are the key things we need to make this happen? Madam Finis.
I'm just thinking, digesting your question. One of the key things that comes to mind is really understanding how people are using AI anyway in our country. We've got 64% of people in Ghana are making use of AI tools, right? To do, if we understood what they are using it to do, then we can double back and say, okay, what is it that we need to enable them to do what they're doing better, right? In our space of esports, we have our strong ecosystem there, right? Of units building games, units publishing games, units developing talent who game, units also designing and upskilling people for the ecosystem. Each of those has a different need in terms of infrastructure pieces that we need to fill gaps in, right? So it's the data, like you were saying, we hold it. How do we curate it in a way that can be meaningful and enable us to make decisions about what resources are needed for our industry to be catapulted?
Okay, so, AI comes in, right, and it takes, for a game developing company, Leti-As, Relo, and the rest that we have, AI comes in and then they take a chunk of what maybe they would have spent money on building. So that means the workload or the resources in terms of funding they need is cut short. Then what is preventing these companies to scale up? Because AI is there, the infrastructure is there, the models are there for you to become bigger. what else is lacking? Because I want you to speak to what else is lacking in there.
So it's
Yeah.
you know, like, so the tools exist.
Yeah.
Like, they don't exist independently. People need to know how to use those tools well, right, to get the results that we're hoping for. And which is why I double back to say, people are using the tools. How are they using? How well educated are they in terms of the output that we're looking for? So someone can use it to create like a basic character, right? But somebody who's trained properly to use that tool will be able to use it to make a character that actually moves, that actually has language references it can learn, right? So it's going beyond, let's say, using it as a basic tool. That's what I see at the moment, to having like structures where people can be enabled to use these tools to their full capacity, right?
Yeah, so it's a skill gap. It's learning or training to use the tools, but then who offers the training? So that's something we are lacking in there. Can you speak to that, Boss Casey?
Okay, so I think yes. I would say education. Education is one key platform for which you need to educate parents, you need to educate policymakers, we need to educate even institutions about this space of gaming and esports, which is bigger than streaming, music, movies all combined together, right? And now that we even have AI in our space, the question that I even need to ask is that how many people knows that a lot of the AI started from one app that we are all identified as, Discord. Mid-Journey started within Discord now that we start prompt. Back to your question, what Venus was trying to say is that the tools are there, the models are there, the platforms are there. What people need to learn is to be very, very, very good in spaces that we can all bring our talent, right? So somebody developed character. Venus is very good in fashion design. His mindset and philosophy is towards using AI for fashion. So when she comes in, she's bringing that fashion element. So our characters don't look flat on screen. It is culturally relevant to us here. It can build in there with all the accessories that is in. Per me, if I'm doing it, my thinking is much more in communication design, right? Which is totally different from fashion design, right? So if I'm using AI, all my skill is towards how do I bring visual excellence, how somebody will look at the product and want to reach out for them. So my AI training and understanding is skewed towards that. It's Max is doing it. His mindset is much more on the development side. So he's looking at coding, he's looking at the Python, he's looking at that. So I think that education is key. Yes, I know I've heard the government is bringing education, AI education, into the primary school. It's a starting point. Our conversation here today is a starting point. We need to still be talking about how to leverage on the tools rather than consuming the tools. Yes.
All right, thank you. So let's move away from the conversation on the technology bit of it. We have amazing Ghanaian stories from Anansi and the rest. And we have AI, we have gaming. How are we using, or how can we use AI to build games that tell our African stories, our Ghanaian stories? What's Max?
Yeah, so we need to document the stories in the first place and see the relevance of using those stories to educate people about our values as a people or our culture as a people. So we are talking about Yasantua, Konfanochi, and then when I mentioned maybe the Cape Coast Castle. So if you want to develop a game so you can send warriors to, save slaves from being exported, you can develop a game around that. And by the time children are done playing, they will know everything about slave trade and the Cape Coast Castle, right? So from the pond where they bath to the castle itself, the gate of no return, and all that, you can simulate everything into a video game, so that when you play it, you have that immersive education about slave trade and whatever happened during those times. We can do that, but we need to understand the stories first. A lot of the documentations are done by foreigners. All we have is oral history. We've not been able to document a lot of the things. We need to document it. Then we'll find the cultural relevance of all those stories in terms of how we can project ourselves as a people, our values, and what we've done before, right? Then we'll put them into the games that the young people can learn and play. That's what I want to say about it.
Do you want to speak on it?
Yeah. So I'm really involved in building games for behavioral change, okay? So a strong believer the fact that if we are going to develop games from Africa, we don't need to mimic what the rest of the world has done already, right? Develop things that speak to our culture. For example, I'm really not for building shooting games, right? Violent games, because when we look at our culture, it's not something that is innate to us, right? For behavioral change, I think it's a really powerful space to enter into and look at, especially when we build games that can simulate. So for example, we can build games which mimic the environment of Accra, for example. We've had floods. It's possible to map Accra in a virtual space where we can use that for emergency preparation. So what would the scenarios be around flooding, right? And what would we be able to do in gameplay to prevent it? Right? And those are very, very powerful tools of, anticipating what needs to be done in order to prevent, the things that we've seen happen, like over the past months.
Okay, so for me, I'm much more on the education side. I mean, building the game's great. It gives employment to the youth by way of the studios that we have. But it's also if these games are put into our school curriculum, and it's two levels. The students are playing it. Now, whilst the students are playing it, we have a fallback of students also developing it. That's how to make a game be a longevity, right? Because then the student that are playing it becomes developers for the studios that are developing these games. And eventually, there is the AI model part is being done. The artists, the creative artists are also getting jobs. The voice-over artists are also getting jobs. There's a whole stream of back-end employment opportunity, right? From digital skills to transferable skills that comes within the gaming space that falls within that as well.
Final question, then we'll take final words as well. So these games are developed. We have games on the Cape Coast Castle, we have games on the flooding and all that. What would make a Ghanaian want to download that game and not download Candy Crush or Call of Duty or whatever? What is that factor we need to make sure that we are patronizing our own games, we are playing our own games? It's a tough question, and I want you to answer, Boss Kwesi.
Well, I don't think that we need to. I mean, I think we need to start small, but the global space is our world. We don't need to say that we're doing a Ghanaian game. We can do a game for everybody to experience. And I'll say that there is always the human factor with gaming. If people love to play games, they want to play games they would like to enjoy, right? As well as, behavioral change kind of games. But basically, let's create games that people will get to connect with it. But it needs not to be a Ghanaian game. It could be any game from Ghana that the world can play.
All right, thank you so much. So we are wrapping up. I just want to take final words. Gaming is great. Everybody plays a video game. Esports is amazing. People are competing all over the world and are winning so many things. If you go to Asia, they are investing so much in gaming that they have performance centers where AI is tracking the behavior of players as they play. Are they holding the mouse right? Are they holding the controllers right? And all that. What is one thing Ghana needs to do to be at least at par with the rest of the world when it comes to AI, gaming, and esports? I'll start with Boss Maximus.
We need, I don't know the one thing, but we need to start from the top down. You see, I always want to use a Saudi case study where you have the prince involved. One of the princes he's the vice president of Global Esports Federation. He knows everything about esports and whatever they want to plan, from primary school to the university. They have a regime for playing esports in all the schools, different age groups. They organize esports World Cup, and then they are yet to organize the esports Nations Cup. Yes, so they even just bought Electronic Arts for $55 billion.